Hi, welcome. Perfect. So, you've been to this conflicts. You found it okay though. It's not the easiest thing to find. No, the only point I was confused was at the bottom when it said 17 and 19. There was a block, I was like, what? What's the other one? That is, well, good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for joining our August, and we have such a great turnout in August for the Maine Summit Commission. It's really exciting. We will start with introductions because we have a couple of new folks in the room. What I'm going to do is invite the members of the commission to introduce themselves first. And then we will also invite the guests. These are public meetings open to the public. We love that we have guests from all over the state, from lots of historic and civic organizations that are excited about America's 250th birthday. So I'll start. We'll go around the room first and then online. Secretary Bellows, Chair of the Commission.
Hi, I'm Kate McBrien. I am the Chief Deputy Secretary of State, no longer on the commission, but supporting a staff.
Hi, I'm Beth Lambert. I am the Chief Teaching and Learning Officer for the Maine Department of Education.
Thanks, Beth. And I'm Sarah Hanson. I'm the Director of the Semi-Quincentennial Commission.
Hello, Bernard Fishman, Director of the Maine State Museum.
Kirk Money, Director of the Maine Historic Preservation Commission.
Anita Breen, I'm here as a representative for the Speaker's Office, just to take notes.
Awesome. Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming, Anita.
Thank you very much. Let's go online to our members online. I see Peter, and then if you want to ping to another member.
I'm Peter Merrill. I'm Chairman of the Maine State Cultural Affairs Council. I would hand it to Allison for Lori, I think.
Hi, everybody. I'm Allison Maxell. I'm with the Maine State Library. I'm sitting in today for Lori Fisher, State Librarian, to just gather information and take notes on her behalf. So a placeholder, but glad to contribute.
Awesome.
And maybe I'll turn it over to Christian.
Hi, I'm Christian Coates. I am the Maine State Archivist, and that's who I am. I'll turn it over to my buddy Julia Gray from the Wilson Museum.
Hello, I'm Julia Gray. I'm the Executive Director of the Wilson Museum in Castine, representing museums and historical societies on the commission. And I will turn it over to Jamie. If Jamie is with us.
She might not. Yeah, she might not be at the point where she can mute.
Oh,
okay.
So
that's
I think that's all the members. So very briefly, if the guests want to introduce themselves and just state their name and their organization. So we'll just go down alphabetically to the extent that I can see. Pat Claus.
Hi, I'm Pat Claus. I live in Orrington outside Bangor, and I'm a member of the Orrington Historical Society.
Perfect. Penelope.
Hi, everyone. Penelope Hamblin here, representing Spirits Alive at Eastern Cemetery in Portland.
Great. Candace?
My name is Dan Glover. I live in Westbrook and interested in the 250 America process and what y'all are doing, what the calendar looks like from now.
Great. Frank Rodriguez?
Hi, this is Frank. I'm with the Machias Port Historical Society, and glad to be part of this today.
And I think I skipped Candace.
Hi, my name is Candace Joyce. I'm the Adult Program and Exhibits Coordinator at the Bangor Public Library.
Judy? Or Julie? We've got Judy and Julie. Does Julie want to go next?
Sure. Julie Potter Dunlop with the Maine Ulster Scots Project.
Judy, are you there?
I am Judy Weissman. I live in Rumford. I'm part of the 250th coordinating committee for this area.
Did Valerie go?
I'm here. I'm Valerie Lamont. I'm joining you from Portland, and I'm co-founder of an organization, nonprofit and nonpartisan, by the way, called the Forum on Democracy. And we too are preparing not only for 2026, but also 2037, the birthday of the Constitution.
Fun. Lauren?
Hello, I'm Lauren Webster. I'm the Director of Audience Engagement at the Maine Historical Society, and just tuning in to be a listener, I suspect, on this call.
Great. We also have, I believe it's Lincoln Historical.
Yeah, they're
Oh, they're coming in.
she's joining. Yeah, she's joining. So is Marie at Acadia.
Oh,
So, yeah.
Marie?
Yeah, Marie, we're just going around, you signed in just in time to introduce yourself, if you're able to.
Yes, I don't think my thing is not working. My video. I apologize. I'm Marie Yarborough. I am the curator here at Acadia National Park, and I've been following along in the last year as you started the meetings, and I'm just loving hearing all the good stuff that's going on. And so thanks so much for the opportunity to continue to follow along.
Great. Is there anyone else that we missed? It's very possible. It's a long list. It's exciting. Just unmute yourself and introduce yourself if I missed you.
Hi, I'm Siobhan Rigler. I also work at the Bangor Public Library with Candace. We're part of a committee here that we formed to see what we can do. So we're interested in amplifying whatever the state is doing broadly.
Perfect. Thank you. And then Lincoln Historical Society, if you want to introduce yourself. We're just introducing the guests who are listening. I think they might be having some.
Yeah, I think they might, because it's still, yeah, so.
Okay. And just as a reminder to everybody, this is a public meeting. We are recording it for eternity's sake. It will be on the internet. So just recognize that you're on camera and, especially for folks at home.
Yeah, sorry, this is the Lincoln Historical Society. We had trouble logging in. So It's Kathy and Bertie, and just as a reminder, we're in Penobscot County, not on the other side of the state. Thank you.
County, the town of Lincoln. Wonderful. I'm so glad you're here. Well, thank you, Kathy and Bertie. Thank you everyone for being here. I think we'll now move into the commission members review and approval of the minutes from June 10th.
I just want to make a note that Kirk found 2 grammatical errors that were corrected. And then there was the egregious oversight of not listing Peter Merrill as in attendance, for which I have apologized profusely. So those were 2 changes. Still sorry, Peter.
And I will just say that the date needs to be.
Yes. Yep. That's been changed too. Yep. I don't. Yeah.
A motion has been made to approve them as amended with these minor changes and the major change of Peter being listed. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions by commission members? Beth is abstaining because she wasn't present. Totally fine. Okay. So the first thing that we wanted to do is there's been a remarkable amount of activity at the federal level, and Sarah represented the commission in Washington for convening states and the federal government earlier this summer. So Sarah, do you want to share federal updates? And Sarah did include in your packets a summary of what was shared at the federal level. And that's a document that's online as well. So for folks that are interested in knowing what the feds are doing, there is of course the federal website, but Sarah is our liaison.
Yeah. So and you'll notice that in some of those, there's some, I think I noted it, italic text is what is not on the website, but what we learned in person. So I think it was 2 weeks ago now. So the America 250 and Task Force 250 held a convening for, I have to keep letting people know, for all the state and local territory commissions. So there was probably about 100 people there, maybe a little bit more. Multiple states brought multiple people. Some states don't have staff, so there were some commission members there, and some states did not join this one. So it was an interesting experience. I think probably the biggest takeaway that I'll share with you all is that there is now very little separation between America 250, which is supposed to be an independent and bipartisan entity, and Task Force 250. They are completely blended, and America 250 has taken on many initiatives that Task Force 250 asked them to. The only one that they seem to not be co-presenting is America Prays, which is again noted in the packet. So and there are very few details about a lot of the things that they're planning, I think because they don't know. And so that has been a point of frustration for many of us state coordinators. And we were hopeful that we would get some more insight into some of these activities, as well as an understanding of our expectations from their perspective, and that didn't really happen. One update that I can give you is that in the past 2 days, we've learned that the initiative Our American Story, which is an Airstream trailer that they are bringing around to all of the states and territories and recording people who want to come in and talk to the America 250 staff. I think we understand that they're asking questions like, what does freedom mean to you? What does America mean to you? Things like that. We just learned that they will be in Maine a week from tomorrow. They are, the details are sketchy. I've had a call with them, and they're still, as of this afternoon, trying to figure out exactly where they're going to be and for what time. But my understanding is that they will be in Portland on Thursday, the 20th or the 21st. They'll be driving up from Portsmouth, New Hampshire the day before. So sorry, I misspoke. They will be in Portland on the 20th. The 21st is still up in the air for them. We've made a number of suggestions about places to go that they might talk to more Mainers. They had originally talked about going to Kennebunk, which we were like, well, right, but you'll get a lot of tourists. I mean, they'll get a lot of tourists in Portland too, and they understand that it's our high season, but it's unclear exactly where else they're going to go. They also are planning to do at least 4 in-depth interviews with people. I do not know who those people are. I have asked them to let us know. I do know that they are still trying to get a hold of Stephen King, L.L. Bean, and Aaron French, which they're not having a lot of luck with. And unfortunately, we don't have connections to really help them there. But my husband, who runs Portland Downtown, has very graciously is helping them with the permitting process and opening up a pedestrian-only street for them to park the trailer on Dana Street in the Old Port. So we will see, and I will let you know as soon as I know if there's any more concrete details about that. And in terms of questions about exactly what is the product that this is going to end up being, that's still a little unclear as well. They are taking a lot of video and audio. What they're going to do with that and how they're going to present that is still something that we're not sure about. So I'm happy to try and answer any questions that anybody has on any of the specifics in terms of programs, but I tried to include everything that we know in there. So at this point, you pretty much know what I know.
Why are they interested in reaching out to Stephen King and L.L. Bean and Aaron French? Is it just how iconic those entities are in Maine?
Yes.
So I'm thinking those would be emblematic of Maine.
Yes, especially Stephen King and Aaron French. And the L.L. Bean outreach, I think they also would like to park their trailer on their campus, which I explained was a construction site right now. They were not aware of that, but they have not had any luck getting a response from L.L. Bean. So I mean, they're trying to do this only a week in advance, so it's a lot.
For the members of the public who have not been to previous meetings, it may be helpful to know that the Maine Semi-Quincentennial Commission is not connected to the National America 250. We get invited to meetings, we try to stay up to date, but we have no formal relationship or agreement. So what they do is separate from what we do. What we do is separate from what they do.
Are there any questions for members of the commission first about what is happening federally?
I have a question or a comment. This is Julie. Is Rosie Rios connected with the federal initiatives?
Yes, Rosie is still the chair of the America 250 Commission at this point.
Okay. 2 days ago, I listened to a podcast that is facilitated by Dr. Robert Allison. He's with the Suffolk Law Library in Boston, and he interviewed Rosie, and she spoke of the an array of different initiatives or projects that they're working on, which I found to be quite interesting. And that was on the revolutionary, it's called Revolution 250 podcast. So I thought I'd share that.
Great, thanks, Julie. Yeah, that's a podcast that that Boston, the Massachusetts initiative is helping with. So that's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Okay. Are there any other questions or comments from anybody? Okay.
Most importantly, Sarah, did you hear anything about funding from the federal level?
Oh.
Through the corporate.
Sure. Oh, yes. So the answer to that question is yes, but the answer to funding is no. So they are working. They gave a lot of time to their corporate sponsors to present to us, like Walmart, Coca-Cola, some tech and Bitcoin stuff that I don't remember off the top of my head, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, but there is no money. They are not a granting organization, and those sponsors are sponsoring the federal initiative and not anything in the States. They made that very clear. So.
Any other questions for members of the committee or for members of the public? Okay. Next, the Maine Atlas Project. Sarah, would you like to update us on that?
Yeah, so it's a very brief update. So as of this morning, we have about 156 public nominations, which is great. And we closed the nomination process on Friday. So we're on the countdown. In terms of the RFP for the project, it is with procurement right now and has been assigned to a staff member. But unfortunately, that's all we know at this point. So we'll see what happens. I know Claire is going to help us do social media push. I will say I was a little bit surprised that I think some of the gaps are historic figures and historic places. So if you all have ideas that you want to share with me, or if you could push this out with all of your networks too, kind of a last hurrah to get some more nominations, that would be really, really helpful and very wonderful. And I'm happy to provide you with anything that you need that would help with that. So
I think that's a really important opportunity. So folks that are here in this meeting, perhaps your homework or our homework is to consider nominations for the Atlas Project. And Sarah, do you want to describe what is it going to look like? What should people be thinking about as they're making their nomination?
Sure. Yeah. So it is, we're looking for people, places, objects that really have come to help define what Maine is over the past 250 years. And from that, we'll choose a list, or the commission will choose a list of 250. And then we will be able to do some in-depth storytelling about some of those, which is really going to be exciting. It's going to be a multimedia campaign, so it will be primarily on social media and on a website. But you'll be able to find out more about these places or these people or these objects. And then we will help people determine whether or not they can, if they're available to go see or experience, how they do that and what a trip might look like for them. So, so that's what it will, the ultimate product will be, and it will hopefully live long past the Semi-Quincentennial Commission, and is something that that we can build upon in the future too, which is great. Yeah.
Sarah, might you be able to share list of what you have so far with us so we can kind of see
where the gaps are? Sure. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I'll it's on a website like nomination form, but I can download it and clean it up and send it out to you so you can see what's there so far. Yep.
So I'm really excited about this next presentation. Thank you, Beth, for conceiving of this idea. One of the most important aspects of our America 250 activities over the next year is the sense of partnership. So we want to be collaborating with state, municipal, civic, historical organizations to lift up the idea of America 250. That's why we are committed. We've said this in prior meetings, but I just want to say it to folks that are meeting with us for the first time. If you have something exciting that you are doing, we want you to share it with Sarah. We can get it up on our social media, our website. We can do cross promotion of what's happening in the state. And we, you know, the Ambient Atlas Project is a co-project. It's funded by Maine Tourism, and it's designed to lift up the Maine experience, right? A choose your own adventure. So this is really exciting collaboration with the Maine Department of Education. Beth Lambert represents us for the Maine Department of Education, and they've done some really, I think, innovative thinking about how to celebrate America 250, but wanted to bring this idea to the commission for presentation, discussion, and endorsement, I hope.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, thank you very much. And so I think it was our main meeting where it was shared, and I learned about tried some legislation to get a mobile unit, and, you know, really not feasible as far as the budget or something like that, which is understandable. But it got me thinking, we have a mobile learning unit, and, you know, we do civics education and are always looking for a new in or another way. And so what a great sort of build off of on the 250th birthday to be reach out to schools. So took it back to the team, and we all got very excited. And so you have it. I think everybody do have one.
Yeah, I think everybody has a white pager.
Yeah, make sure you have the big flag. But really, you know, I won't read it to you all, but just sort of go through some highlights. Really what it is an opportunity. We'll be going to schools once a month over the course of the school year. Our first school is on Constitution Day, September 17th. We thought that was an appropriate launch day. We worked hard to get that date. Madison Elementary over in Somerset County is going to be our first school, so we're very excited about that. And we're putting a call out to all the schools to be able to pick a month that would work for them and try to get great representation around the state. And what we will do is go to the school. Students will go through a series of stations where they will learn, there's an essential question for the whole day, which is, and Kate, for giving us this question, is from work that she had done, but is, should the American colonies declare their independence from the British Empire? Which of course, we know how that ended up, well, but back at the time, what would that look like, and what would the discussion look like for students? Gives them the opportunity then, so they'll go through these stations, they'll move through them, and at the stations in smaller groups, they'll dig more deeply into some of the fundamental principles of our democracy, like the original source document of the Declaration of Independence. They'll work on understand voting and the purpose of voting, free and voting in a democracy. They will look at the press and the role of a free press in our democracy. And my notes, am I forgetting on here? Oh, they'll go back to it. Propaganda and visual representation in how we talk about things. And so through those stations, they will learn about and then practice and create. And so the idea is through their experiences, they'll identify an area that was particularly interesting to them, and then they'll play that part. So at the end of the station's activity in the morning, we'll have a mock town meeting for them, which unfortunately, even though we live in New England, not a lot of our students really know or understand what it is and the role that it plays and the players in that. And so they'll debate this question of whether they would support a Declaration of Independence from the British Empire. And they'll play the different roles. So if they were really interested in the free press, they might be from the press and going around and interviewing. We have a lot in our mobile unit of technology, recording devices, we can do podcasts and audio. So making some PSAs, we'll have, the students that might want to do more visual representations, start thinking about taking a position and then how would you convince people through a visual media. We'll have talking about civil discourse and public discourse and how to do that, which is a really critical skill, we all know. And so some students will participate in a public debate and speeches. And then they'll vote, and we'll go through an election process and with a mock election process where they'll get voting process, where they'll vote for what they think, and we'll find out what that is. While that's all happening, we'll have some targeted work with them around what voting is and how to participate in that and when they will participate in that and how they can get involved. Obviously, they're in elementary school, so it's a little ways away for them, but not too early. We've also invited, so in Madison, we have some selectmen and a local state senator and the municipal clerk are going to attend as well. So they'll talk about their specific roles in the town and the area, what they do and how they got into that. We're going to keep it to some time limits because some of those folks can really talk. They're not used to being in front of fifth graders, but we're really grateful and excited for that partnership to really make it become real and alive. Because what's exciting to us beyond, I think, the really rich civic learning that they're going to have and the celebration of the 250th anniversary is the opportunity for that, very relevant, real world, practical application of what they're doing, which is something we're striving for at the department. So on the backside of this, one of the things kind of walk through a lot of what I think I've told you already. Oh, we're also offering an optional. So when we come to the school, we'll work with the students. It's all pretty much led by us and our partners. But then educators in the school and the surrounding areas will also be invited to an optional PD. Their school may require it, but we don't. It would be optional to them to then get some more support in how they can continue some of these activities and expand on them. And all of our participating schools will get materials so that if they want to, and they have time to work with the students. Obviously in September, they won't have had them very long before we get them, but if they want to introduce some of the concepts, they're welcome to do that, but we're prepared either way. So I also going to be included in here. My hope, we're excited about it and we know we'll go forward. We're excited about the partnerships that are already developing, but also always looking for more and particularly in specific areas as we travel. And I'll continue to share once we get people booked out, but really thinking about making that local Maine connection to the larger sort of story of America and our role in that, and particularly Maine, but also particularly the smaller communities that might know more about their specific roles during that time. And so really any artifacts or stories, archival materials that folks think of that would be might be interesting to students to look at, to touch, to hear is wonderful, and they love that. Any connections, again, I know if you say, well, tell us where you're going other than this, and once we know, it could be helpful to say, do you know anybody in these areas? Reaching out to municipalities who might have more contacts with different offices than us. And then anything we can do to continue to align with the work that we're doing here and this commission throughout the year and promoting that in our schools, because it's great to have the young people involved and just makes it more of a party when they're there. So yeah, so I guess that's my just overview and introduction to it. Happy to answer any questions that might be. We're hopeful that as part of some of the visual and the interviews that will happen, we'll have all that material to put together to sort of have a nice kind of compilation at the end of some of the students' takes on it. But that won't be for a while because it'll take us the year to put those together. But we've got a great green screen, so we've got it all, we're kids in tech for like revolutionary stuff, so kids can get in front of it and do their interviews and feel like it's nice to make it feel special. I think it's gonna be a really great experience for them. Yeah.
Sounds like great fun. How do you generally propose to introduce the British point of view?
Well, we will in each of the activities, sort of there will be the history lesson of sort of understanding what was going on in the world as well as sort of from the American side of things. So it's built into the stations that the students are going through as they learn about the beginning of those stations will be that kind of what do you need to know, and then think about it from either how is it being communicated in the press, both ways, how were people understanding, getting information at the time for both sides, and hopefully looking at as much original source material as we can get ahead of hold of, but both representing both sides.
Sarah, excuse me, my audio is very poor on this, so I apologize if you've already addressed this, but I think it's a tremendous idea. So I just want to congratulate everybody on whoever came up with it and is putting it together. My questions are, is this a funded project? Have you already raised the money for this? That's number one. And number two, what age group are we talking about here? Is it all elementary school, elementary and high school, or what have you? And third question is, those two.
Good. I was like, okay, I got them. The first is funding, which, rarely do I get to say this, but yes, I mean, we have the funding for this because it is, civic education is a cornerstone of public education, and it's a critical piece of what we do. And so it's able to be built into the work that we're doing around civics with our public schools. So we are not concerned about that, which is nice. And the second question was age. The first school is an elementary school, so the activities are targeted to these grades, but we are prepared for any grade range. So whatever the school is, we anticipate, because we do this a lot, that it will be more difficult for high schools to accommodate that's coming in the schedule. Elementary schools typically have the most flexibility to say, yes, come for 4 hours. We can give you the morning or the whole day. So we anticipate that, but we're prepared to offer that K-12.
Okay, and have you outreach to the indigenous community here in Maine? Because certainly there were some events that took place that had an impact on our Declaration of Independence, or conversations, I should say. So are they involved?
Sorry, I didn't cut you off.
Pardon?
I didn't mean to jump on you. I thought the question was done, but I was excited to share that our Wabanaki specialist at the department is involved in this work, is part of our office, and is building that out with us in order to make sure that that is a perspective that's incorporated in the work that we do, and also that the indigenous students are also not only represented in the work, but also participating.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the commission?
I just kind of have a comment, especially those of you that with the owl, especially when you turn your head away, it's kind of hard to hear you.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Just letting you know that. And how many schools do you plan on visiting, and how long a time frame do you plan on having this occur?
So we plan to do one a month for this school year. So we're hoping to get that will allow us to do 8 to 9 schools this year, knowing that with the holidays and vacations, we may have to, we'll do what we can do, the most that we can do. But what's wonderful is we see this really as a launching year, which is great around the anniversary, but it, once we've done this, we feel like this is a model that we will likely continue at the Department of Education in a way to get these mobile units out into schools and give them this kind of practical and project-based opportunities. But for this year, we've committed to once a month for the year, the school year.
So if you have a school district that is interested,
yeah,
you can communicate it through Sarah or directly to Beth. I think the commission member emails are online, certainly the commission member list. So would the commission like to co-sponsor or basically endorse this proposal? It's not requiring any funding from us. It would be use of the logo, making it an official Maine Semiquincentennial experience. Is there a motion to do that?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, moved by Bernard. Is there a second? Seconded by Christian. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor, say aye or raise your hand. Aye. Looking at everybody online, seeing everybody on their hands.
Hi
Anybody-
from me in
Oh,
the
hi,
car.
Lindy. Welcome.
Hi,
She's
friends. Thank you.
driving, so, yeah.
Okay. Any opposed? Members of the commission only, of course, voting. Any abstentions from the commission? That is abstaining.
Yeah.
Okay, it's unanimous, and thank you. This is really, really exciting. So we wanted to also share out of the Secretary of State's office. We traditionally do a mock election in the even numbered years when there are candidates on the ballot, and we invite students to participate in that. We invite candidates to record short videos, and we give those out to the schools, and we do ballots with candidates. This year, there are referendum questions. There are 2 referendum questions on the ballot. One dealing with election laws, one dealing with gun laws. Certainly that may be a topic that schools want to do a mock election on, and we're going to offer a mock election on those referendum questions. It'll be the first year that we're doing a mock election around referendum questions. However, we also wanted to offer a mock election around America 250, and this did originate with Kate's sharing her educational experiences around this question of should the American colonies declare independence from the British Empire. So we thought, how fun to offer a ballot and a model for combining the results to teachers who want to participate in a mock election exercise in their classrooms or schools in their schools. So obviously this will be a component of the civic on the road mobile classroom, we want to have it be something in terms of the election itself or the question itself that schools can choose to do. So, yeah.
I'm only generally familiar with this interesting idea. Do you lay out the different positions in a text that they read, or do you have an oral presentation? In other words, how do the potential voters learn what the issues are?
I think this is something we'll be collaborating with the Department of Education to hear their thoughts on how they're going to lay out the question in the mobile learning unit. To be quite frank, we have only done mock elections on candidates, and our model has been inviting the candidates. It used to be in the olden days, when I was a state senator, the candidates were invited to directly address the students in person. The students would come to Augusta for a big summit. Candidates would come, give speeches, have tables, students could go around and look at their campaign materials and then vote. Because of the challenges of school transportation, cuts to buses, that became less popular over time. That event started to shrink to really just Central Maine. It was very beneficial to me. I was a state senator in Central Maine, but less beneficial to candidates from the rest of the state and to students from the rest of the state. The pandemic forced us to go completely virtual. So we invited the federal candidates and the statewide candidates to do videos. So we put together a video package along with a video from me about how to vote, like just voting mechanics, not what to vote for, and a video from a local clerk about the process of the local elections and how those are run at the town level. And we sent that out to schools, and we also offer the opportunity of doing school assemblies. So last year, our office did at least a half a dozen. I did half a dozen, and our office did a few more. we went out live on the road and did in-person events for schools that wanted it. And in a couple of schools, the local clerks brought the polling booths and the ballot boxes into the schools for the event in October. So this is our first time, and so the long-winded answer to your question is, I think we're still figuring that out.
I could easily imagine a debate
Yeah.
Between some brave suicidal person who'd like to represent the British point of view and someone else that could be broadcast or made available through Zoom or some.
That's a fun idea. The British
I think it
ambassador
could be.
is very into the America 250. Maybe we invite the
Yeah,
British
you could get
ambassador
someone
to
from
do
the
an
consulate in Boston or.
Yeah.
It could be pretty entertaining. You have to dress them up though in breeches and a wig, you know. Anyway.
But it also seems like a great opportunity because the DOE will have developed resources that are going to only be able to make it at this point into 8 schools. So, but to take that resource, that primary source or secondary source information they use for the on the road thing and get that a little bit more statewide exposure in more places through that as a kind of resource pack for the mock election sounds like another opportunity to do the work, to not duplicate the effort.
Now, no pressure whatsoever. I mean, we can do it just as the Office of Secretary of State, but would the Maine Semi-Quincentennial Commission like to endorse the mock election and co-brand that piece of the mock election?
Coming from loyalist heavy Castine, I would make a motion that the commission endorse a mock election that centered on the idea of a decision around staying or going from Britain.
I'll second.
I love the historical appropriateness. Yeah, I'm delighted by that. All those in favor, please say aye or raise your hand. All those opposed, say nay.
Thank you.
I think that was an aye, everybody? Okay. And all those abstaining? Okay. All right. There's one abstention.
Okay.
I suppose actually for form's sake, I should abstain as well. So,
Okay,
Courtney
yeah.
abstaining. Thank you. Okay, great. This is, we want to talk very specifically about the requests that we know will come in from local groups, right? There are lots of local organizations planning some exciting America 250 commemorations, educational events. And so we wanted to bring forward the brand use and logo use discussion. We want to separate this from the idea of financial support because we want to have a conversation subsequently on the agenda about a potential grant program that has emerged in some conversations. But let's start with the brand use and logo discussion. Sarah did some research with other states to see what other states were doing. Found language that seemed like it could work for me, brought it to the Office of the Attorney General for review, for how it comports with Maine law, brought it to the executive committee. The executive committee unanimously recommended that we bring it to the full commission for your review. And this was included in the packets. I know there's already been some feedback. I know Lori Fisher had some ideas. And so would invite Allison as her representative to share those. But let's start first with Sarah walking us through what the proposal is for brand use and logo.
Sure. Would it be helpful if I shared my screen? Okay, I'm going to try and do that and also pay attention. The Zoom is being run from the same laptop, so it may take me a second to switch back and forth. So please bear with us if you have questions. So I'm going to start with this document, the proposal, the proposed criteria. So this should look fairly familiar to those of you on the commission, as this is the base document that we reviewed and approved and discussed back in December. With just a few, very few edits. And that was basically to remove any, anything that was, I'm blanking on the word, anything that was repeating from the other application, which I'll share in a second. And then any FAQs that did not reference the application, as that is a new piece to this. So the all of this, the FAQ is pretty much the same. None of the substantive language has changed at all about how to use the logo, who can use the logo, and when.
Just for our newer members.
Yes.
Read, I know it's on the document,
Yep.
but for folks, if you want to just read who could use the logo, and then, yeah.
Yeah, is that? So, okay, just the FAQ number 1. Yeah, so it can be used by authorized individuals, organizations, event organizers, media outlets, and others who have received explicit permission from us. And then we say that usage requests are evaluated on a case-by-case basis to assure alignment with our brand guidelines and the 3 pillars.
And then can you read out 7, where it can't be used?
Sure. So our logo should not be used in connection with political or partisan campaigns or events, on merchandise for sale without explicit permission, and any content that could be deemed offensive, controversial, or in conflict with the 3 pillars, and in media or context that might damage the brand's reputation. And I did, just for a point of clarity, I did have the AG's office also review this again when they were reviewing the licensing agreement. So, so this is, they're comfortable with all this language.
And so how would people request permission?
So good. Let me share the second document. So this is the one that is going to be new to everybody. And what I did is I talked to a number of other states who are going through application processes to approve brand use. Most states are not, but both Colorado and Arizona had developed a brand and licensing agreement with their respective attorney general's office. And so I based it on that. So, and as well as the application. So basically we're asking, who you are, if you're representing an organization, where in Maine you are, so that we can help connect this with Maine Office of Tourism too for any event promotion. And then how people plan to use the logo for educational purposes, commercial, for programming and events, or for something else. And there's a box that they can fill out. And then they will sign this agreement. And this is the licensing agreement that they are, when they sign and to submit this application, this is what they are agreeing to. It is full of legalese. So it's not the lightest read, but again, the Attorney General's office has reviewed this thoroughly, and I hope everybody else had a chance to read it beforehand, and I'm happy to try and answer any actual legal questions. Basically, this again will, this is what they will sign, and then the application or that would come to me, and then from there we would either approve or deny, and then send them the actual files in whatever format they want. So there's just one, we have to get a specific email address for this particular issue, but other than that, it's pretty good to go. So I'm going to stop sharing just so I can see everybody.
If the commission approves it, we need them to sign it. So for example, Secretary of State should sign it on behalf of the mock election. The Department of Education would sign it.
Yep.
On behalf of the mobile unit.
Yeah,
So
Maine
we have
Historical would sign it as as a partner for all the events that they're doing. So yes.
Yeah. And so an organization could sign it for a series of events that the commission has signed off on. For example, the mobile unit going to many schools. We don't have to sign off for every school. Or
Right.
the Historical Society doing a series of 250 exhibits. We don't have to sign off on every exhibit.
Correct. Yeah, we don't want.
Tell us that.
Yeah, so we don't want people to have to apply, 15 times or keep doing it. we're trying to make this as user-friendly as possible, while still kind of making sure that we've got an eye on how it's being used. Yeah.
And at the executive committee level, and I don't know if Julia wants to capture this, or Sarah, maybe you start. The executive committee thinking had been, correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
you would have the authority to approve in the interest of efficiency.
Yes.
But if you had any concerns, you would bump it to the executive committee, who would then in turn bump it to the commission if there was any doubt as to whether an entity should be approved. So you wouldn't be bumping approvals to the full commission, but denials would, or questions, perhaps if it's in proximity to a meeting, you would bump it to us. But so I just wanted to flag that was something the executive committee had discussed, but
yes,
we can certainly amend that if the commission so chooses.
Yeah, and Julia, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I would just add that we discussed, the executive committee discussed it, and anticipating and hoping that there's a flurry of activity around this commemoration. We recognize that it would be impractical for the full commission to review every request to use the brand. And that if the commission was so willing, that the commission could essentially vote to empower Sarah to review and approve requests for use of the logo and the brand, with her discretion as to when it needs to get bumped up to the executive committee, and the executive committee's discretion as to when it needs to go out to the full commission, just to kind of keep things moving and make the process as efficient as possible, while still having, like, we were not prepared to go the route that many states have gone, where anybody can use it. There was just too much of a concern of how that might go sideways. So we did want to still have the opportunity to check what's happening and be aware of what's going on, but to not have to have the full commission. As a director of a small nonprofit, I know how incredibly hard it is to get everybody to reply to an email or be in a meeting, all these things. So I think we recognize that was probably the most efficient, while also giving a backup for if things that are more complicated come up.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Sarah, will you be reporting to the executive committee the requests you received and approved on any regular basis?
We had not discussed that, but that's certainly something. Yeah, and I think we did discuss at some point that every commission meeting, you would receive a list of all that have been approved thus far, and if there's any specific events, all the details on that. Yeah.
Yeah, if not to the executive committee on a regular basis, at least to the commission, just to provide you cover. You know, if you're making these.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
And not get so far down.
And that would allow the commission member to be like, wait a second.
Yeah, that can absolutely be a process that we work out with the executive committee, whatever works best for them, how we handle them. Sure.
Sarah, it's Libby. Is this form just going to be a link on the website that people can use?
Yes, great question. Yes, so we'll put this, I'm not exactly sure if it will be a, Google form or exactly what platform we'll use, but yes, we'll have a link right on our website. We'll be sure and share it on social media as well, so that they come directly to me, any applications.
Do you think there could be a checkbox or something on the form that asks people if they're willing to let the commission sort of share their event or add their event to the calendar, the larger list? Because I also think this is a great way to get a lot of information about what's going on that you might not otherwise get if they weren't requesting the use of the logo.
Yeah, Libby, that's a great idea. So we have Kate and I have chatted a little bit about what we can do to update the website so that we have calendar capabilities, which was something we had discussed initially with the state's IT when we were first getting the website, and it was a little challenging. So we are revisiting that. So I think that's a great suggestion. It's a really good point that, yeah, this will hopefully get us a lot more intel on what's happening around the state. And yes, we absolutely want to share this. So we're figuring out the best way to do that and exactly what that will cost and if we can handle it.
I should note that any updates to websites and things like that, that is all being paid for by the state archives because the commission does not have any money.
Right.
So the state archives, thank you, Christian.
Thanks, Christian.
Paying the bill for all that.
Yeah.
Great.
Sure.
So that, is there any further discussion or any further suggestions on this? Allison, did you want to share anything further?
Yeah, I was just going to ask. So Lori had provided a few suggestions to Sarah, which she sent in an email, but I'm not sure on the first one, given the discussions with the executive committee, if this is still pertinent, but she was suggesting that the criteria around the timeline for approval be articulated, just given the fact that the commission only meets infrequently. So she had suggested a paragraph in the criteria section, which more or less says commission approval of logo use requests occur every 2 months starting in August 2025. Logo use request submissions must be received at least 1 week in advance of the next commission meeting in order to be placed on the agenda for that meeting. Please plan your timeline accordingly for your organization's proposed logo use. So I don't know whether you need to, whether there needs to be anything adjusted to that to reflect the executive committee's discussion, but she was just trying to incorporate the reality of the timeline and the turnaround given the meeting. So that was number one. The second thing was for the third full paragraph on the criteria and number 6 of the FAQ. She just suggested that we add the words via email. For the number 6, that means at the end of that first sentence becomes clear who they're emailing it to. The last one was that frequently asked question number 9 just bears repeating in the criteria. So she was suggesting that you incorporate when using the logo on social media, it must adhere to the same guidelines as other uses, and the logo cannot be used in a way that implies endorsement of personal views or activities, just so that it's redundant, but it's in that area. So that it's explicit. So those were the 3 suggestions she had.
So the first comment, I guess, was discussing is if the commission was going to approve everything.
So let's just talk about that for a minute. That would be a different way to do it, would be to do approval of logo use every commission meeting every 2 months. That is certainly something we could do. Or I think regardless, I think Lori's suggestion that we have some explicit language around approval is a good idea. So regardless of whether we decide to have commission approval every 2 months or have rolling approval, I think we might say something to the effect of the commission meets every 2 months, starting in August 2025. Requests may, what is the right word? Requests may be bumped to the full commission, and if so, may take up to 2 months to fulfill, or something like that.
Okay.
Or, request submissions must be received at least 1 week in advance of the next commission meeting in order for placement on the agenda of that meeting. Please plan your, should that be required or something? Just to,
okay. Yeah, we
like, if somebody really wants their thing done by November and they're trying to get in touch with you, saying, if you want it on the next meeting, you need to get it, to us at least a week in advance of the October meeting.
Yep.
So that they're not coming to you a week after the October meeting for a November event. And then if you're taking it to the fall commission, that's not happening until January.
Right. Yeah, I'll have to, I'm trying to figure out how we would do that, because it would be helpful, I think, to have language on there to say, like, you'll receive preliminary approval or something within, 10 days of application, just to give us a little cushion.
Sure.
And then figure out how to best articulate if something needs to go to the commission for full approval. Based on our committee schedule, these are the dates that we need to have your submissions.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe check
okay.
with AG's office.
Yeah, okay.
I see Libby wrote something in the chat.
Yeah.
If we voted, my phone dropped.
Oh, no, we haven't voted yet, Libby.
No, so,
Yeah.
is there any comment or discussion would any commissioners like to have the ability as a full commission to approve every single logo use request? I would say I don't, but I don't know if any commissioners would like that, maybe share your perspective so others can hear it. See a lot of no's in the chat.
Absolutely not.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. So would anybody like to make a motion as amended with Lori's second and third?
Yes, absolutely.
Points,
Yep.
plus some additional language clarifying the approval process so that people understand what the commission needs and that in certain circumstances it may go to the full commission.
So moved.
Okay, great. Moved. Excellent. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded. All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand. Okay. All opposed, please say nay or raise your hand. Say none or none. All those abstaining, please raise your hand or say abstain. No abstentions. Unanimous of those present.
Awesome.
Okay, well,
Thanks,
that's great.
everybody. That's a big step.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Big step
Yep.
forward. And so that also gives clarity to all the local organizations on this call. Get your requests in soon, as soon as Sarah.
Exactly. I promise I'll get it up on the website as soon as I can.
Trying to figure out which email. I think we're just putting keywords, but.
Yeah, for that specific licensing issue, I think it needs to be an official, I don't know. We can review that if it's an AG email or, yeah. It will not, no.
So next we want to talk about a potential grant program discussion. And I want to kick it to Peter in his role as chair of the Cultural Affairs Council.
Thanks, Shanna. As Kate mentioned, the commission has no money. The commission is broke except for the general fund that pays for Sarah, for which we're very grateful. And a number of almost all of the council's members are represented on the commission. And we've been talking with the state archivist and with the chair of the commission about a way to fund a joint America 250 grant program. Very early stages of discussion. The basics are this. The council has about $55,000 from the state bicentennial that it could put to a grant program. The archivist could put forth a similar amount, and the grants would follow the three pillars of the commission, the connecting, the sharing, the learning, as well as be focused on the areas of the council members. And I'll tell you who those are in a minute. What we would not do, as Christian so eloquently said, is no fireworks, no hot dogs. We would want the grants obviously to be useful, important, and within the scope of everybody's mission. There would be probably a fairly small committee that would receive the grants, would process the grants, would discuss and debate the grants and make the awards. And so the next steps we obviously need initial lots of additional detailed discussion. The archivist would have his own process. He would need to get approval for spending that money. The council would need approval to spend the money as well. The full council would meet in September. So that would be, and it only meets quarterly, so that would be our timeframe. Just as for those who don't remember, the members of the Maine State Cultural Affairs Council was created by the state to coordinate the activities of 5 state agencies and 2 nonprofit organizations. The organizations are the Maine Historical Society, the Maine Humanities Council. State agencies are the Archives, the State Library, the State Museum, the Maine Historic Preservation Commission, and the Maine Arts Commission. So that's where we are. Lots more to discuss, but we're very happy about this and very happy in working with Shanna and Christian. We're all marching in the same direction. We're all want to get to the same place. So that would be my report. As Shanna, you and Christian may both want to add into this.
I think that would captured it well, but Christian, do you want to add anything? Given that this would be your matching funds?
I would just say that I think we could pull together a draft document for sort of the guidelines of the granting, formalities pretty easily before the September meeting of the CAC to have that ready to go. So we could kind of get this kicked off in the fall.
So we could potentially bring it back to this commission at our October meeting for final approval by this commission, pending approval by the Cultural Affairs Council.
I would also say there are any number of the council members on this commission who may want to chime in as well.
Would the commission actually have to approve it? It's not our funding.
So what I think the reason I'm proposing that perhaps we approve it is that it be a Maine Semi-Quincentennial Commission grants program in partnership with the Cultural Affairs Council and Maine State Archives, so that they are explicitly for members of the public and for members of the public and the organizations seeking grants, that it is a Maine Semi-Quincentennial Commission sponsored program and it's for semi-quincentennial events, just to keep that laser focused on the state's America 250 activities.
Yeah,
that's great. The 200th, the Maine Bicentennial Grants Program, just speaking from the perspective of a cultural organization that applied for and received one of those grants, it was fantastic. And I think it worked pretty smoothly for folks. So I think you have and that was done by the Cultural Affairs Council. So I think you have a pretty good model of that working really well in 2020, aside from things that didn't work well in 2020 with plans for that bicentennial.
I think one thing that Peter and I talked about and Christian and I talked about is I think that Maine State Archives has a very well-functioning grant program as well for historical organizations. And so as the fiscal agent for the commission and the administrative overseer of the commission, and given that Sarah would be staffing the grants program, that we are volunteering and feel would think that we could administer it out of the Maine State Archives existing grant procedure. It's a little bit lower tech than the portal. That has some benefits, and we can still we can make sure that there's a lot of transparency and sharing of information with everyone. But I think some of the criteria and some of the lessons learned, I mean, I think this was originally Bernard's idea, was to have a grants program for the semi-quincentennial. And we just weren't quite successful with the appropriation for the legislature. So I think that being able to come together in this way is really exciting. And I think there is probably, it feels like more of a shared endeavor if Cultural Affairs Council is utilizing this funding to match what the Secretary of State / Archives is putting up.
So Shanna, this is Allison, would this mean that combined there would be about 110,000 that would be regranted then?
I think about something like that. Yeah.
100,000, yeah.
100,000? Okay.
Yes, I would want to say a big thank you to both the Cultural Affairs Council and the archives for doing this. I mean, it's certainly been a challenge that the commission has faced, and I think that that combination makes perfect sense to be able to have this done well, to be able to apply lessons learned from the bicentennial. And I appreciate greatly that you all are stepping up to have, so we can have a little bit more impact on what's happening. So appreciate that. Thank you.
I would suggest that with that small grants committee, that we've got a lot of representation of both the Cultural Affairs Council and the Semi-Quincentennial Commission. So Peter and Bernard are veterans of the bicentennial grants program. And obviously I think Christian it would be important for him to be at that table, but other folks who might be interested, let me know if you'd be interested in being part of the grant committee. I think, again, we'll draft ideas to run by the CAC for their approval first, and then by this commission for approval before it is finalized. But letting Peter and me and Christian know what your ideas are would be very welcome. Or volunteers. And again, I think keeping it small so we can keep it moving pretty efficiently, because we don't have a lot of time. So we want to make those decisions. You know, once we have the procedures and the criteria in place, I think we want to try to make those decisions quickly and get money out the door before July 1st and 2030. Certainly before 2030.
2026. For sure, yes. It's yes to both.
Any other discussion or questions or any comments?
Just one more from me, Chinda. So you would be looking to bring the proposal or draft for the grants program to the CAC in the September meeting?
Yes.
For that full council meeting? Okay, yeah.
And when I said, I think it would be Peter and Christian who would be looking to bring it to you, since I don't sit.
Yeah.
And then bring it back in October. Daniel, did you, as a member of the public, have a insight or question?
Not necessarily an insight, but a suggestion I wanted to say earlier, but in terms of educating ourselves about the Constitution, the war powers and tariffs would be a very good subject to be studied over the next 250 days or whatever the next period of time is going to be. And I think it's more than appropriate for people to understand how the Constitution does read and where the Congress has given the power to the president to do what he's doing right now, which the courts still haven't decided to close down his tariff deal, but I think it's coming any minute, I hope. But the war powers, it doesn't matter which president you talk about in the last 40 years, none of them should have had it. And we're into so you know, where the Constitution reads, the Congress that the House should announce war.
What I think will be really exciting about the civic education unit is there'll be lots of primary source material. So students will have that opportunity to really dig into the text of the Declaration and the Constitution. So thank you. Yeah, and I want to move us just back to the grants program in terms of where we are on the agenda. So any other questions from commission members only about the grants program? Okay. Any questions from the public about the grants program for the commission to consider? Okay. Do we want to give it a preliminary green light? I wouldn't want to go through the work of having the Cultural Affairs Council, having Peter and Christian work on these draft criteria that I'm certain they would be working with Sarah on, to then have the commission say, go pound sand in October. Perhaps we could take a straw poll, just kind of a general sense. Of course, we need to see the details. Of course, the details matter very much, but in general, are people comfortable or excited about this idea? So I'll just ask for a yes, no, or a maybe, if that makes sense. Sarah, can you read?
Yeah.
Somebody's got some ambient noise.
There's 3, so there's like the instructions and then.
I just had a quick question.
Sure.
So, after it comes back, after the grant proposal comes back to the commission in October, is there a general sense that you're hoping that this will be ready to go and put out for public, application maybe toward the end of the year? So, approvals or dismissals can take place like into the first few months of 2026, so people will be able to plan.
That would certainly be the hope. And Christian and Kate, maybe you can help navigate whatever we have to navigate with procurement to get permission to do this.
Part of it is once there is a formal program and criteria that's drafted, then we need to submit to procurement to create a blanket contract, which allows the state archives to issue grants. That's a pretty straightforward process, more straightforward than most of the procurement processes. So I'm hopeful it shouldn't take too long. I would think we could at least get the announcements out by the end of the year so that awards could be made, hopefully within, first few months of the beginning of 2026.
Okay.
But we have to work through the state procurement process.
Yeah.
That is true. It's an important check and balance on the distribution of state monies. Yeah.
Both Libby and Jamie are
Great. All
thumbs up
right,
in
so
the
I'm gonna
comments.
have thumbs up, thumbs down, or thumbs sideways. Yeah.
Do you have any concerns about those people representing the CAC voting on this before the CAC is cracking?
What do you mean has a crack at it?
Before this commission has a crack at it? Is that what?
No.
Because wouldn't the criteria, the formalized criteria come to the CAC first for approval?
It would.
Yeah.
But those members on this commission were also connected to the CAC. Because we're the agencies.
You have outsized power, you mean?
Well, no, I'm just, does it seem we should stay maybe at this
Oh, I see. I think, Shanna, you're just trying to gauge general interest, right? We're not taking a vote right now, right?
Well, you're taking kind of a straw poll.
Okay, so maybe we can have all the CAC and SOS and archives abstain, because we're all saying we'd like to do it. And so non-CAC and non-archives members, which is Julia, Beth. Isn't Jane part of? Oh,
Well, we are not here to represent CAC.
No.
We're here to represent individual agencies. I don't see
Yeah,
why-
Shanna, this,
Yeah.
To express an opinion on the basis.
Who's speaking? Allison.
yeah, this is Allison too. I just wanted to, I guess it's just feeling a little awkward because I don't, like, all of us are on the CAC, the 7 organizations are also represented here. So that was a good point you made, Kirk. But I also, in terms of like the general idea, but I'm not sure, have the directors from the various CAC organizations talked about what they might be doing individually in addition to
I'm
what?
sorry, Allison, we talked about this at a meeting you missed on Monday.
Okay, so
That's kind of where,
everybody's,
that's where all this came out from.
that's what I'd like, as long as everybody's aware of it.
Yep,
and
Lori
it's not
was
in-
there.
Okay, perfect.
And I do think it'll be important that whoever is on the grants committee isn't a beneficiary. So if Christian is on the grants committee, and I imagine he would want to be, he can't apply, it's archives money, but he can't apply for 100,000 to then take the CAC money to do what he wants to do, right? Or if he has a side project, he's on the Bristol School Board, and the Bristol School Board wants to money for the mock election. I don't think that members of the jury, as it were, of the grants committee should also be having organizations apply for money. So again, back to the point of conflict of interest, I think there's less of a conflict of interest in giving the money than there is if the money is being given to them potentially get, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think, I'm not too worried about the whole conflict, if I'm a member of the commission and I'm a member of the CAC and I'm a member of the Archives Advisory Committee, you know, it's a small state. I just don't see the, you know, to your point, Shanna, if there is a financial conflict of interest, you know, then I think we've got something we need to be very worried about. But I think just, is this a good idea? You know, this is a collaboration among 3 organizations, almost all of whom are represented on the screen today.
All right, so we'll do a thumbs up, a thumbs down, and a thumbs sideways of everyone. And if you want to abstain, that's totally fine. So thumbs up, thumbs down, or thumbs sideways. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of thumbs ups. I'm not seeing any thumbs down. If there anybody wanted to do a thumbs down, can you please very visibly do a thumbs down or do it on your screen? Okay, seeing none. Any sideways, just kind of, Okay, Libby's a thumbs up.
And Jamie was a thumbs up too.
And Jamie was on thumbs up. Okay, so there's seeming consensus that this is a good idea, and you're abstaining. Thank you, Kurt. So there's seeming consensus that this is a good idea. So Peter and Christian go forth and draft some criteria. I have some thoughts that I've already shared with both of you. And I'm sure any member of the commission is welcome to share their thoughts. And those criteria will go forward to the Cultural Affairs Council and then come back to the Semi-Quincentennial Commission. And presumably the criteria will be something that archives and CAC feel really comfortable about. And I'd be really excited if the commission were to endorse it and make it a commission fund. So, okay, Allison, thank you for abstaining. And we appreciate that being recorded in the minutes. So that brings us to, it is 4:23. That leaves us 7 minutes for any additional public comment. We put a public comment at the end of each meeting. If there's information you want to share with the commission, something you want us to be aware of, topics for future agenda meetings, whatever that might be, we try to be as inclusive as possible in the work that we're doing. So yeah, the floor is open to from commission members or otherwise. Any commission members with anything that you'd like to flag for a future agenda or have Sarah look into. This isn't your last chance. Please always, just like that, back after a previous meeting said, hey, I want to talk to you about this idea. And you're like, that sounds really cool. So if you have ideas, we hope that these meetings do spark ideas and similarly, Christian was like, what if we did this? And Cultural Affairs Council taking Bernard's idea and building on it. So really appreciate that. Yeah.
Did you want to mention your presentation at the NAS conference at the meeting at the Jamie?
Yeah, Jamie Ritter and I were on a panel together, the former state librarians at the National Association of Secretaries of State. And we presented on American 250 preparations. Tennessee was awarded $7 million by their legislature for this. They are doing something called doc boxes, which are these really cool boxes they have like powder horns. So they have all these props like tri-cornered hats and powder horns and tea. And then they have all these documents. They have children's books. They have a curriculum. They have teachers' aids. And they're sending these they look like the boxes that we use for elections to carry elections materials. They're sending these sturdy plastic boxes full of all these really great things that they're calling the Docs box out to their schools. That was really remarkable. So he talked about the box docs. He talked about the funding that they have. Rhode Island was also in the panel. They talked about Liberty trees. Yeah. So they are doing an initiative in all 39 of their municipalities. It made me laugh that they only have 39 counties in their state. They're doing an initiative to plant a Liberty tree. Of course, the Liberty tree was the tree in Boston. Historians in this room know the story better than I do, where colonists, rabble-rousers gathered for meetings and conversations and planning the revolution. And so they're doing a Liberty tree planting, which I thought, gosh, if anybody from agriculture, conservation, and forestry is listening and wanted to do Liberty tree plantings next Arbor Day, that could be a fun partnership. And then I just spoke about this commission's work I talked about the mock election and the mobile unit. and how exciting that is. I talked about the challenges we've had with funding and how we're thinking about small grants programs potentially. And I talked about 2 Lights for Tomorrow, because I thought that was a really special kickoff. So not all secretaries are in charge of their America 250 events, but we encourage the other secretaries to get involved and get excited. So, yeah, great. Any comment from members of the public, guests online?
I did have something I wanted to say.
Yeah.
I had spoken previously about an Orrington lady, Azuba Freeman Ryder, who was like our Paul Revere, and she told everybody that the British were coming, and on. I could go on for an hour, but anyway, so it comes to pass that we are going to have 2 signs, not 1 but 2, in town showing where she left for her on her journey. And then the other sign will be as people come into town from Brewer along Route 15, which is a really, well-traveled road. And so that's going to be amazing. Now, I think Representative Dick Campbell is super behind this idea. He was really happy to hear about it, and so he's going to help make it happen. And on top of that, he wants to have a tall ships event going on in the Penobscot. And obviously that's a gigantic thing, and nobody knows if that's really going to happen, but he's going to try to tie this in with that. So.
Could I just add, Dick did that during the state's bicentennial as well. He organized a group of small ships, old ships in Penobscot Bay. One of which was a replica of one of Columbus's ships, and I can assure you that the world went to hell the minute that happened. It was very controversial.
Yeah.
So but he's got some experience with it.
Well, that was just a couple of years ago that happened. So I think he's learned from that, and it's not going to involve Bangor, like going as far as Bangor, which I think was the issue. Maybe coming up as far as Bucksport.
I think it would be really important to coordinate with Penobscot Nation on any ships that are going to be going up to Penobscot. Because when we're talking about, America's 250, the Wabanaki tribal nations were really important leaders and allies in the revolution, right? And so I think, again, in the interest of making it not partisan or political or reopening old wounds, I think that would need to be something that would need to be done in coordination and collaboration with them.
Yeah, I agree.
And in deference to any decisions not to invite certain ships for certain reasons.
Right.
I would also just add to the mix that this is not our last opportunity to do this in the Penobscot River, because the Penobscot Expedition anniversary isn't until 2029. And Cassie and obviously we're talking about what the 250th of the Penobscot Expedition is going to look like, and we don't know yet. But that storytelling continues past this national 2026 commemoration to that more relevant date for that. So that conversation will definitely continue with involvement across a broad group of stakeholders.
Back to the pioneer who raised the alarm that the British were coming in Orrington. Can you repeat her name again?
Her name was Azuba Freeman Ryder. First name is Azubah. It's an old biblical name. And
wow.
So she was from the Freemans, from I think Salem, Mass, or somewhere around Salem. They moved up to Orrington in 1789, something like that.
So I invite you, if you have not done so yet, you should submit her name to the Maine Atlas Project as one of 250. You have?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's been nominated.
Yes, like when I think about choose my own adventure, I would absolutely go and trace that trail. That would be so much fun. So I love the creativity that's coming out of Orrington. So congratulations, kudos to that. Anybody else want to share anything? Libby, was your hand raised or is that from before?
Oh, no, that's That's the cursor. Nope, we're good.
All right, well, we are adjourning right, 1 minute after time. So thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks,
and,
everyone.
We'll stay in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you.